Okay, so I'm here at the Ancaster Nostalgia Show, although the name has been changed to emphasize Collectables now, which I don't know if that means anything or not. It is cold out. Like, it's -3, but the wind chill is -11. Now, for those of you who have never lived in a place where wind chill is, you might not believe that, oh, that's not real. Wind chill isn't real. The real temperature is the temperature. Oh, wind chill is real. It's real, and it's really, really painful. And so there is a lineup over there. I don't know if you can see that or not. But I'm not going until that lineup is gone. And I don't care if I miss, a few things to get in there early. I'm not freezing my butt off. I know I've lived here the vast majority of my 50 some odd years. I still don't like the cold. No. Anyways, we'll see what we get after. Whoa, or I'll just drop the phone. Okay, so I spent the day, or the morning, actually at the Touch My Face right away. Man, every single time I touch my face, I thought I had it. I don't have a coffee. If I have a coffee in my hand, I'll touch my face, but I did it again. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so I spent the morning at the Ancaster Nostalgia and Collectibles show, which again is just about 40 minutes away from here. I try to go to it whenever I can because it usually gets some good, I get some good picks. This time, as I think I just probably showed before this, was touch my face again, was me flipping through records and finding some two really decent records in it. They did have a no filming policy inside, and I'm not the kind of guy who wants to try and sneak around with that sort of thing this time, so I didn't film anything inside except the one dealer who had those records. I sort of fibbed and said, can I take a video of my friend so I can send it to my friend who lives nearby and he might come? And the guy was like, sure, man, I don't care. And so I did that quick flip through there. But I managed to pick up a whole bunch of good stuff that I'm pretty pleased with, including something I never had before, which are some really cool 1970s hockey mail-away posters. And I'm going to show you those. We'll go do that. Look at them. I don't know if I'm going to show you what's in my... I added this later, and I'm not good with that tech, but I think that I'll show you them in my van, what I got right after the show, and then we'll go back and look at all the stuffs. Okay, so I'm going to try to do this with the store open, so if you hear a ding go off, the video will stop, and I want to edit together because, I am sort of running a business, I guess. Poorly, but still running it. This is my haul from the December 1st Nostalgia show at Ancaster, at the fairgrounds there in Ancaster, Ontario, Canada. And I'll just get right into it because I sort of showed you guys. I did do some filming inside, but it wasn't very good. The only thing that it really was okay was the flip video where the records, which I'll probably put that at the beginning of this for you all to sort of have a quick look at. So yeah, we'll start. You all know know that I love and collect. My primary collectible thing got me into all this. It's what my parents did, was cards, primarily non-sport and primarily pre-war stuff. But I do, for myself, love stuff from the 80s and 70s, so it's going to be a mix of stuff in here. So we'll get into this. Ignore that. It's just something like this. At this point, a lot of the dealers know me, and they will put things aside, and this was put aside. It is a, I believe, 1984 Dukes of Hazzard Shreddies insert. It's the Canadian one, because as you can see, it's English and en français. And it is sealed in the cello with 3D glasses. The 3D glasses are super duper hard to find. I said super duper, and they are. So I don't know if I have. I probably have one of these sealed, but this will be maybe a nice addition if I don't. If not, it'll probably just go on to somebody else. These are $4 for the two. It is a sort of Art Nouveau, one of them anyways, I can't see the other, is an Art Nouveau bookmark, and it doesn't say, but that one says Norfolk, possibly New York on there, for Stewart's chocolates, and then the other one is Bordeaux chocolates from Montreal. Not a huge amount of money in these, like 15, maybe 20 for that one, because it is really a beautiful bookmark, but it was $4 for the two, so $2 a piece. And what do I always say? Well, I always say if anything's $1, just buy it. Doesn't matter what it is, because you're going to make money on it. But even at $2, you're still going to make money on it. And then somebody gave me this, and I'm not 100% sure what it is. Canadian chewing gum sales. And it is some sort of, would have been some sort of wrapper or something that went around something. How's that for tech? I just, it was basically given to me because they know I collect stuff, so that's kind of, it's kind of cool. So that is those. This is Wild Root brings you Robin Hood on CBS television. It doesn't tell you what Wild Root is. I'm going to have to look into that. I'm going to probably think a soda of some kind, but it's an advertising piece. I think it was like for this and somewhere. Oh man, I don't have it here with me. Oh, that's too bad. Somewhere I have a GoBot that was, all these three things were the GoBot, and everything was $10. So that... These were, I believe, giveaways. I'd have to go look, but I know some of the hockey ones were, and this is for the Saskatchewan Rough Riders Football Club in the 1970s. Cool little patch. This is a early McCormick Deering pamphlet for, it's a Canadian one too there, for their farm equipment. And as you can see, I wouldn't be surprised if this is like pre-1920, just by the look of it. It's horse-drawn, so that sort of tells you first. So I picked that up. We'll deal with this in a second. Yeah, this is not organized in any way, shape, or form. So a longtime dealer friend of my family is Ed Locke, and he always seems to come up with stuff. Now, I collect, and as I've mentioned before, my family collects primarily cards. These he had, and these are the stuff that I'm always looking for. This is the classic Canadiana that I do collect. Cowan's put out a Boy Scouts series, large, medium, and then later on some small ones. And then they did all kinds of stuff, fish, flowers, things like that. Each one of these would go in a chocolate bar. And then you open your chocolate bar, and at the end of it, you get it. Most of these are, 1920s and 30s era. So I picked those up. He let me have those for, I believe it was $15 for the pair. And then he showed me this. Now, I normally would not touch this. British cards in the past, I didn't do anything with whatsoever. But more and more Americans are discovering British cards, especially sports cards, and especially things like boxing. And the price of these have shot up. I wouldn't have touched Churchman boxing years ago because there's just so many of them, and they still are out there. In the UK, literally there were what known as remainder sets that were sold for pennies on the dollar to dealers, and they have mint, like literally mint sets just sitting around. Now I can't find it in here, but somewhere in here is the Jack Johnson card out of here, but I can't find it right now. These I'm not familiar with. Again, it looks like magazine football team pictures. Don't know what they're worth. I'll have to look them up. And then same thing for these. These look like boxers again. And so again, something I'll have to look at. Oh, looks like he's got a tattoo across his chest there. Rising Boxing Star Series. Kid Lewis, Monarchs of the Ring. And, you know, there was enough here that I was just like, why not? And I didn't really go through it, so there could be, you know, something in there that I don't know, but I doubt it. Earlier Will's set. And then, you know, Imperial Tobacco Canada, pretty common stuff. But again, I think it was, we settled on for the whole lot of this was somewhere around $200, which again, I would not have touched those Churchmen, but it is getting harder and harder to find decent stuff to buy anyway. So yeah, that was one thing I picked up. This was included in the lot, and it was largely Crackerjack charms. Now, I don't normally deal with Crackerjack charms. It's not the sort of thing that I have an interest in, but again, it is premiums, and Ed knows how to what my trigger is, and he showed me these. These are the lenticular cards. When I was a kid, we collected them out of Crackerjack packs in the 70s and 80s. There's a stack of them there. There are more in here, and they range with tattoos, superheroes, so that had me interested. But things like this do carry value. Probably lot them up. They were in the 30s and 40s and 50s, and you know, they're just plastic Crackerjack charms. Other people might be interested in them, other people might not. Okay, somebody came in, so I had to stop. So we'll go through, try to remember. We were talking about these. There were a lot of the plastic ones and the paper, but there were some good early metal ones in here too, which are a bit earlier. There's a bunch of the metal charms. You can see there, more plastic. There, looks like a little Cupie. There's some notes on there. Ed told me he bought the collection off of a lady. He was going there to look at a Bakelite collection, but in the end she ended up selling the Bakelite collection. But these were there, and she had some crazy researched prices on there, which didn't make any sense. And he sort of showed her and let her know, like, no, you're a little strong. And then in the end, they came to a conclusion. This was the one that that kind of caught me. I love the googly-eyed guys in there, and there's a really cool skull with a jaw that moves. Like I said, not huge money, but when you lot them up and sell them in groups that are similar type thing, you can do okay with these. They're not the biggest thing in the world, but these I love. I can't wait to go through there, because if there's more, the superhero transfers were great in there. And those were things I pulled out when I was a kid, so a little bit of nostalgia there for you. What is that? What was his facial pattern? Ed, if you want that back, let me know. But yeah, and he put that in there too, the red jacket gum, and which, you know, we included in the price, and then he threw this in at the end, which this is kind of interesting. So tobacco silks were printed on like a satiny type thing, and they had all kinds. They had flags, they had Indians, they had anything. Now these are from the ones put in Canada, which were just flags. But the neat thing was they would send this out showing you sort of what you can do with the flags. In a sinister way, it was a way to get women interested in smoking, and they're probably from around 1910, and the idea was, well, if we put these silks in there, women will want to, you know, start smoking to collect the silks and can use them in projects and things like that, and probably it worked. sadly. But anyways, that's, you know, an interesting premium piece somebody out there will love. So this, the next thing I'm going to go through is the records. May as well, because I'm here. This and this one, the T-Bone Walker, just, oh, by the way, for those of you, and I'm sure you all know at this point, but like one of the greatest albums made of all time. End of story. I will fight you on it. I will. This was Marvin at his strongest, I think, and just a brilliant record. But I actually was walking at the show and I noticed a guy had a sign that used to be in my store. And he had actually bought the sign from me. So it was in there. And you know what? He didn't have a big markup on it. So, you know, no big deal or whatever. So I was happy. And he recognized me and we started chatting. And he told me he bought a record collection, about 650 records. Now he had a lot in, he doesn't really deal with records that much. So he had a lot of the albums in sleeves. He went out and bought them. And they were priced, you know, I think a little on the high side, even not like they were beyond retail. But he had a box that wasn't priced. And he's like, oh, yeah, I didn't get to those. And he's like, I don't know what the condition's like. So I looked, not perfect. You know, they're more than playable. There are some sleeve scuffs. I don't think anything is going to cause a big problem. There's probably going to be some lighter surface noise, but I'm the kind of guy that doesn't bother me that much, honestly. You know, if it's an acoustic quiet record, then yes, you kind of want, you know, a cleaner copy than most. So anyways, I held that up and he was like, I don't know, man, like $5. I'm like, yeah, okay. And then this, which I've been looking for a while, T-Bone Walker, and it's the ABC Blues, but this was Spartan in Canada issued this, so I'm, you know, one that I'm looking for myself for a while. And same thing again, just some sleeve scuffs, and he was like $5, so pretty happy with those. Most of this stuff here, in fact all of it probably will be. Here is another one. It is the West Coast Pop Art Experimental Band. Really good psychedelic music. This one again, scuffs, some marks, not perfect by any stretch, but it's a very expensive record in VG, even VG plus, in VG plus, but then also in VG, it's still a little bit pricey. And it's one, I've got their other two, so this is the last one, and the guy just wanted $10 for it, which, you know, for a scratched up record, well, it's not scratched up, but scuffed up record, I thought, you know, it was a little strong, but I was more than happy to give it a go and put it as a place thing. He also had this guy, which is another one that I've been looking for a while. And the neat thing about this is it's actually this stereo copy. So pretty happy to have that because, you know, even though you can see it's obviously led a bit of a rough life. Looks like a little bit of water damage on there, but you know, for $10, I'm not going to argue it's one I wanted for. The real surprise, and you guys see this because I asked the guy, they had a thing at the show saying no filming inside, so I was like, oh, damn. But I asked the guy, hey, do you mind if I do a flip video for my friend that I'm going to send it to, because he just lives down the road and he might be interested? Like, sure, go ahead. So I did, and was super surprised to find these guys in here. Now, he had some prices of like $40 for Bowie and things like that, but these guys, and then half of them weren't priced, and these two weren't in the price thing. And so it is a copy of Anthrax, first record, Fistful of Metal. It is on the Bonsai Canadian. It's a white label Bonsai. I don't know if I can get it out of here. That's it there. It's got some fingerprints on it. That's really it. There's like a little sleeve scuff there. Nothing terrible by any stretch. Sorry, you can see those lines aren't scratches. That's just a reflection of the wall in the background. So super happy with that. I asked him how much, and he said $10. So you can imagine that wasn't a hard decision. And then there as well was Black Sabbath's Live Evil, which I don't have either. So this one I might end up keeping myself. It's when Ronnie James Dio was with them. I love the early Sabbath, but the Ronnie stuff's okay too. Tony's guitar playing is good at any point in time. And this one's in really nice shape, except for a little bit of a crease there at the corner, but the records themselves are like, VG plus near mint. So for the two of those, we settled on, what do you say, $20 for that one. So like $30 in total. I was like, yeah, that's totally fine. Super happy with those two. I mean, when do you find anything on bonsai anymore in the wild for $10? So pretty happy with that. We'll leave that until later. This is not organized. Okay, so someone else came in again, so it stopped the video. But I think I was talking about this. So this is, whether you can see it or not on here, color wheel in its original box. And the design of these is their lamp. You can see it there. I'm not going to pull it out and put it together, but all the pieces are there. And if you had a one of those silver tinsel Christmas trees, which I do, I have a couple, one for the store and one for home. And if you wanted, you could get these things, and they were these plastic panels, and it made a full circle, and it would go around in front of the light, and it would change the color of the tinsel. You'd set it at the base of the tree of the tree, so you didn't necessarily need Christmas lights. The reason why they didn't want people doing Christmas lights is because some of the early aluminum ones, because they did change over later to plastic, but some of the early aluminum ones and some of the early electrified Christmas lights would sometimes, if there was a short in the wire, it would conduct through the rest of the tree, and people were getting shocked off their tree. So for a while, they came up with this, which was considered sort of a safer method than stringing electric wires through, and you could add color to your tree. So there you go. There's one where you can see the whole thing there. I am always getting asked for these for people. It was only $25, and so I'll be able to, I like the box though. Oh man, I'll probably end up keeping it. Who am I kidding? So we're gonna go through. There were these shirts. The guy only wanted $5 a piece, and he had worked. And he told me these were his when he was a teenager, and he must have been a skinny guy. He had worked at a movie theater, and they used to get all kinds of promo stuff, and these were some of the shirts that they got. And I just like this one, which is admittance restricted to persons 18 years or over. It is single stitch on both the sleeve cuff and down at the base cuff there. The label, I think, let me see if I can get this out on here. See, this one's made in China, but it is an old Chinese label, so it doesn't mean that it's new. This was, he said, probably he thinks from the 1980s that he got this one at. So that's kind of cool. Let's see. Sorry. So when this was the one that was sitting on the front, and at first I said FM. I'm like, oh, is that for the band FM? Who were kind of like a Canadian prog band. But no, it's from the movie FM, which I had never heard of, and he's like, it bombed. Same thing again. This is made in China, but it's an old Chinese label. Single stitch in both cases. And, for $5, that's pretty cool. This one is the big reel, which I don't know what that is. It's an old iron-on, but there's some cool. You got Laurel and Hardy, Charlie Chaplin, Betty Boop on there. Cowboy things. It must have been a theater, is what I'm thinking. Again, single stitch. This one's USA. It's a paper label. Albert. Unfortunately, these are small sizes, which don't sell as well. But if somebody just wants something cool to hang on their wall. Here is, again, vintage. This is a Ringer style tee, and it's an iron-on take this job and shove it, which I don't even know what that's about. and it is made in Canada, but it's a ringer tee style. I think the bottom you'll find is single stitch down there too, so vintage. Fire Sale, 20th Century Fox. So I'm wondering if that is actually a movie. Again, it's an iron-on, single stitch. This one's made in China too, but it's an old Chinese label. Not everything vintage was made in the USA or Hong Kong. They did do some stuff in China. And then this one is Bullies, which again, he told me was another movie, which I'd never heard of. Ringer's tee with a 50-50 poly cotton. And this one's an adult extra large made in Canada. So for those of you, I've sort of been dealing in mostly band shirts and things like that for years. So some of the clues, just for those of you who don't know. Earlier stuff was usually, not always, again, there's lots of exceptions to the rules, but almost always were 50-50, so 50% polyester, 50 cotton. They're usually made in Canada, made in Hong Kong, or made in the USA. There are some, as I've shown you, they're older Chinese labels as well. And there, you can actually research labels. There's like archives online of all of the old labels that can sort of give you dated eras. And then you want to look for, when people refer to single stitch, it's got some goop on there. That's it. If you look at something that's been made fairly recently, there will be a double stitch line across there. And I can't show you because the shirts I'm wearing are actually vintage. But this is single, and it's usually, this is on the bottom cuff. It's also at the end of the sleeve cuff. This is a ringer style. So it's got that, they call it the ringer cuff on there. Similar to what you'd find on the neck. So yeah, those are things to sort of look for. True vintage. If you ever have anything that's printed on here instead of an actual label, that is not a vintage piece. They remake a lot of the old concert shirts now, and they're just, if it's printed on there, it's not vintage. Don't bother spending your money on it. It's got to have proper label. And you know, don't spend a ton of money until you really know what you're doing, because there's a lot of bootlegs out there and a lot of fakes recently, especially. So he told me this was a movie, Bullies, high stakes on the back. Again, I don't know, but it was like $5, so I'll pick up vintage shirts for $5. Now these, I think I'm gonna stop the video and spread these out separately because we just don't have the room. So we'll do that now. Okay, so I'm going to go through these posters individually because I don't have enough room to spread them all out. I don't know if I mentioned it already, but these were basically giveaways by Coca-Cola in 1970. I'm not 100% how it was done. Sometimes these things were in store, and then when you bought a thing of Coke, you could take a poster home with you. But also I know that there were things where you could save up your Coke lids, like not the actual lids itself, but the lids itself. I don't know. And then you could mail away to get them. I don't know which one it is, what the case is with these. I got to do a bit more research on it. But either way, these are fantastic. There's the Pelkowski was the artist, 1970 copyright date. Sadly, this one, which is of Dave Keon, has a huge chunk out of it. It doesn't matter that much because I'll tell you the story. I was looking at these. The guy had them on the table. I just bought a whole stack of Playboys off him, and I was looking at these, and he said, "You interested?" And I'm like, it depends on price, because I'm cheap. And he said, well, there's 6 of them there, which I believe is the full set. And he was like, I was asking $60, and I was about, gonna say yeah. And I was just looking through them, and he said, but if you want them for 40, you can have them. And I'm like, yep. And when he said you can have them for 40, there was a guy behind me who physically let out a moan, like, oh. And he came up after me and he said, man, that Bobby Hull one, I'd kill to have it. And so, yeah, sorry to the guy who was behind me. It's happened to me before too, but, you'll get over it. So that's the Keon one. We'll show another one now. Okay, so there's Dale Talon, Vancouver player, played for the Canucks. This apparently is his rookie year. So he got a rookie poster. I don't know if that makes it any more valuable or not. I probably not. So yeah, there's the I wonder who, excuse me, who's number 5 for the Canadians? It'll be interesting to look into that. So there's that one. We'll do another now. And there is the big M, Frank Mahovlich, when he was playing for the Red Wings, Detroit. Great artwork, great posters. Like graphically, these are phenomenal. Again, not absolute perfect. Some edge tears and some creases which will come out. There's even a little bit of tape on a few of them, but still, like super cool. And these were, as said, for $40, so less than $10 a piece. We'll show you the next one. Vaughn Cornier, Montreal Canadiens player. This looks a lot like Bobby to me there, though. Maybe. I don't know. It's no numbers on it. But, yeah, that's... and there's the signature there again. The thing is, I question, like, some of the choices here. Because, like, Yvonne, you know, fantastic player, put up fantastic numbers. But, like, you know, it was 1970. Still, I think Belvo was still around at that point. Certainly Henri Richard. Was Guy playing yet? No, I don't think he had started up yet. But, you know, still, like, there were a lot of players to choose from in that Montreal lineup. And, you know, no disparagement to Vaughn, because he was a fantastic player in his own right. But just, you know, interesting choice, Coke. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, and so this here is another one that, you know, questionable choices. Not, you know, Derek Sanderson, phenomenal player in his own right. Like, but if you're thinking 1970s Boston, like, what's the first thing that jumps to your mind? You know, I'm a fan of goalies, so it's Cheevers. But generally, the general public, when you think Boston, the first thing that pops into your head is Bobby, like Mr. Orr. And, you know, interesting choice, Coke. You didn't go with Bobby. I don't know. Did you want too much money? Was that it? I can't see that. There wasn't a lot of money in any of those guys' pockets back then. I mean, there was, you know, for the time, but not comparatively. But, you know, good for Derek, because he got, you know, got his poster, and that's great. But you just sort of wonder, why was there no Bobby? But sort of the next one we got here kind of makes up for it just a little bit. There you go, Coke. You got one Bobby in there. So it's Bobby Hull, Golden Jet. Look at him there. Still playing for Chicago. Still putting up decent numbers later in his career. Number 9. My number 9, because I'm a Wings fan, is always going to be Gordy, obviously. But, you know, he was a pretty good number 9 too there, Bobby. And there's the signature and the thing on that. And it's like great graphic content on these. They just look so good, these posters. So, yeah, as I said, I got those 6. The guy gave me 40. And as I was loading stuff up, he threw this on there and said, you want that? And I'm like, well, again, because I'm cheap, like, depends on how much. He's like, no, you can just take it. And I think it is an earlier thing, but I think it's probably an ad for CCM hockey sticks, and was probably a giveaway for that. I got to do, again, a little bit more research, because that stuff's out there. Bobby Burrell put out a fantastic book. I forget the name of the damn thing now, but he did one on wax wrappers from hockey, and then he did one that included all kinds of premiums and giveaways and all the stuff like that, and I wouldn't be surprised if I could find that in there, so I'll go have a look for that. So basically, yeah, that was it. The other thing I got, which I can't show you, is I did briefly in the van there after the show, a giant box of Playboys, which I got from the guy who sold me these posters, because I was buying the box of Playboys. Because again, Playboys, if I can pick them up cheap enough, I'm going to grab them, because in the store, people buy them all the time as like gag gifts for people to give on their birthday, you know, the birthday month or year, if that's possible. And the ones from the 60s and 70s have decent content, like not just the nudie girls, but the articles. I know it's a total cliche. Oh, sure, you read the articles, but there are some of the best writers in the world got some of their early stuff published in Playboy, and the stereo ads and the car ads. It was a culture magazine. I mean, it was, you know, a sexist culture magazine, but it was still a culture magazine. So there's really great stuff in there, and sometimes people buy it just for that. It has nothing to do with the, you know, the beautiful ladies. So he had a big stack of them, and I asked, it was in a box, and I was looking at it, he's like, there's 30 odd in there. I'm like, okay, how much you want for them? And he said $30. So I was like, okay, that's $1 a piece. And, yeah, I can do that all day, because I usually sell them around 10, you know, depending on who's on the cover and whether the centerfold and stuff is in them there. When I got them home, counted them up, there was over 40, like I think 42 was the total. So again, less than $1 a piece. So pretty happy with that. But I can't show you those because Facebook has a thing where they're not, they don't enjoy that. And I'll show you this because I got this guy here. For my American friends who don't know, there's another professional football league, one that's much, much older than your NFL. It's called the CFL, Canadian Football League. We're down to 6 teams. But we're a proud bunch. And this is the from Allied Toys. It's got the tag on there. I picked this up on Facebook Marketplace because I'm a Tiger Cats fan. Big A from Allied Toys in Toronto. And it is the Hamilton Tiger Cats. There you go there. And he's a rubberhead doll. They made these for U.S. teams as well, I've seen. I don't know if Allied did, but other companies did, and they almost all look the same. So they probably licensed out the shape for other toy companies to make. And I picked him up on Marketplace this week, just for myself more than anything else. You know, the CFL has had some skinny years, and I think, you know, hopefully it never ends, because it is one of the oldest running sports, at least for the competition for the Grey Cup, one of the oldest running sports competitions. So I hope that keeps going. You never know, though. So yeah, I think that's it. Hopefully you guys are able to find some stuff in your travels over the next week, and hopefully in a week's time I got some more stuff to show you. All right, bye.